Hey guys, today is the second episode of me discussing, me having bipolar and entrepreneurship. So if you're interested in hearing part two of my story, then hang in there and it's going to be coming up right after this. Okay, guys, I'm back and I want to do part two of, my story of trying to be an entrepreneur and battle bipolar depression, which didn't even get diagnosed till my 30s. And I started all my business ideas in 2019. So, to not over elaborate on that part, if you could imagine, this slows down my momentum a lot because, I had already had experience. I relocated and I was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania when I had my first breakdown. Um, and I'm sorry, my lash is looking crazy, but I'm real tired. And my hair this isn't the light. My hair is actually green and then I put the twist in. So I just wanted to give that little bit of an explanation because I'm not going to be able to, I don't have any makeup or anything. I'm not going to be able to do my face today, but I wanted to get this video out. Okay, so I'm just going to start where I want to talk about the medical part. The part I went through, I think in the beginning I just kind of gave an overcap on the first episode. Now I just want to talk about the different parts, stages. So right here, I'm going to discuss, tell you about my experience. Okay, so I'll just start from my first breakdown. When I had the first breakdown, I was at work. Well, second breakdown, I'm at work, and I got sick at work. Mentally sick at work. So I had like real bad anxiety. I was, vomiting, that type of stuff. So what happened is I do go see a doctor. He pulls me out of work to, just I guess to evaluate me or whatever. The first pill I got put on was called Nardil. And it's a very, I think strong, or maybe it just wasn't for me. Um, that's the first time I experienced what I call being zonked out. And I didn't like it because in my mind, I could see stuff, hear stuff, just like normal, like everybody else, but my response time was slower. It seems like I rested a lot, like way more than normal. And if it wasn't for the grace of God and my roommate, who had been one of my friends for over 20 something years, if it hadn't been for her knocking on my door, because we were roommates, she knocked on my bedroom door. And I don't remember a lot because, like I said, I was zoned out, but I remember I was in the bed and I remember her saying, "You got to get up, baby. You got to get up." And I'm like, "Well, I want to lay down." So I wasn't feeling it. She said, "You haven't eaten in 2 days." I'm like, "I ain't eaten 2 days." It didn't even sound right. You know what I mean? I guess I got up and would use the bathroom, but I would go right back to bed. So now I realize I'm losing time because of this meds. And like I said, I just thank God that I had a roommate, because I'm not married. I don't have children. I was very thankful I have roommates. Well, a roommate. And even then, I was trying to get my business off the ground. I had a man, one of my friend's fathers, he believed in me after he saw the candles and invested $500 in me. Okay, however, but I'm dealing with this brand new mental issue. Okay, I'm gonna keep on the medications and stuff like that. I realized I want to see a different doctor altogether. Because what he gave me the second time to me was just as strong. And matter of fact, I forgot with the Nardil, they give you a paper that's really long, and it's a list of things you cannot eat. And then you get a smaller pill that you have to take should you miss and eat one of these foods, but it doesn't cure you. You have a certain amount of time from when you take that smaller pill to get to the emergency room. Well, dealing with this anxiety, that was one of the first things scared me even more, because what if I forget? What if I'm out in public and something's in one of the foods and I didn't pay attention? I mean, there were certain kind of cheeses, certain kind of breads, only certain kind of fish. And I was so scared of the medicine that, I still took it like I was supposed to because I wanted to be better. But it was a real scary feeling that I could just mess up and maybe be out of here. It was real scary. Um, so the next thing I do is I go see another doctor. When I see these other doctors, I actually like them. I ended up with a psychiatrist and a psychologist. Okay, I also realized on the Nardil that for me personally, and I don't mean this, for anybody else, I want to say this is when I started to speak more sluggish, not thinking clearly. Things got harder. Like I said, response times were harder. Everything was just harder. It seemed like the medicine made me worse. So I get the new doctors and psychiatrists and psychologists. And so what it is they were teaching me a lot, and they gave me meds according to, more according to after they talked to me. And I did like them a little bit better. However, one of the first ones they gave me again was too strong. I was living in Philadelphia, and to get from the top of the stairs where my room was, staying with a family member, to get downstairs to try to cook in the kitchen, I would have to sit at the bottom of the steps. So just walking down the steps made me have to sit down for about 15 minutes. Um, Needless to say, I also had to walk to the doctor's office a lot, and it just was a very disoriented feeling. I finally get on some things that help a little bit, but I felt like some of them just didn't work right because I had developed this tremble, stuff like that. So I'm not speaking well. I develop a tremble, and I think also fear sets in because when you know you're not okay, you're now, uh, I was more leery to even going out and doing things because I didn't know if something could happen and I wouldn't be able to speak up for myself. That's when I learned what agoraphobia is. And I'm like, I can't have agoraphobia because I have a business. I meet people all the time. Like, this is what I do. And they explained it to me that it had nothing to do with that. And I learned more about the mind during this time. Um, I'm gonna just fast forward a little bit to once I'm doing even better. It seems like another breakdown happens. When this one happens, it seemed like my speech went away totally. Like, had to learn how to speak again type thing. I also realized like now my jaw's a little bit better, but at one point it was totally like this, and my jaws were locked. For years, I didn't know what was wrong. I just got, a dentist that was able to, work with my muscles and try to get me back together. So I'm gonna just fast forward because a lot of days in Philly, I was sick. The medicines was strong, so on and so forth. I go ahead and come home. And this is after getting on like a disability, can't work. It's real frustrating. People were judging because some people said, "Oh, she just don't want to work," and some people just had their own thoughts. But I can't even communicate well enough to explain to them how I feel and what's going on and stuff like that. I knew one day I would get to tell my story, but I didn't know when. I came home about 8 years ago, and when I came home, I got onto the uh, mental facility here in my small town in South Carolina now. I'm not in Philly anymore. And I didn't love some of their meds. And I feel like what they did was go by what the last doctor said instead of talking to me first and then prescribing me something. One of them I felt was too light, so I was still shooting way up and shooting way down. Then it got to where they wanted to give me something to go to sleep because I couldn't sleep well. And rest is very important. Then they would give me something else to get up. So I got to where I had like 5 pills. I'm gonna fast forward to where I start working on myself and my health. So I want to say I'm gonna just jump to now. I'm on just one pill, and I thank God. It's kind of frustrating to know something's wrong. Matter of fact, back at NHS where I had the psychologist and psychiatrist, that's the first time I had a doctor look me in the face, and I was telling him that I want to work. They asked me what kind of goals that I have. I said, well, I want to work myself back into society because I'm like missing. I was like, I'm only 30 something. And if I live, I have all these other years to live. I got to know how to be able to function in the world. The first thing he let me know is there is no cure for being bipolar, period, and that I would never get better. And that hurts. Like I said, I did come home. I've been working on myself, but believe it or not, I'm down to just one pill all these years later. I do still have episodes, but it's more like a mood stabilizer. So I kind of snap back. And it is hard because business alone is emotional. Family relationships, love life, everything is difficult. And when you're on these pills, like what if you forget to take one day? I mean, it's all fun and games and a joke when people say, oh, you need to go take your pill. You know what I mean? Or they call them the crazy pills and stuff like that. Just other mean things. But either way, fact still remains that it does help and control. I had to learn what serotonin was. I had to learn, I think, what dopamine was. I had to learn what cortisol was, because understanding my brain and understanding what what was giving me anxiety, I didn't know that cortisol is something that automatically goes off um, at a heightened awareness. Like it drops and that be that tingly feeling in your stomach and stuff like that. And it kind of lets you know things like that. Serotonin have to do with your happiness, the that, and the third, and emotions. And if you lack serotonin, that in itself can be making you fly on a depression kind of state. My anger can be really, really big, but I've got a lot of control over that. I just personally had an experience with somebody I really, really care about. I thought I loved them. I don't know. But I realized that I even tried harder to make sure I didn't, you know, overreact, but so much. But, if you're pushed, you're going to push back. But it took years of making sure I know the difference, making sure if I go off, it's because I have a reason. Or if I speak up for myself, it's because I have a reason. And see, people had already wrote me off as, oh, she crazy, so they won't listen to you. They really won't. Down to family members, they get to where, well, you're already labeled. I had an emergency last month and I really feared for my life. I told, one of the guys I care about the most what had happened. And he said, well, sometimes you get in your head. And I know he didn't mean me no harm. He probably wanted to make sure I wasn't over exaggerating, so on and so forth. But if I can give you verbatim details, it's not in my head. It's something that happened. But I think part 3, I'm gonna let that be more about the relationships and stuff. But I do want to say that it has been an uphill battle. um, One of the meds made me not be able to even drive for 15 minutes. So if there was something going on in town where I could set up a table and even sell my candles or any other ideas I had, it was a problem even getting to these events. Some events, people thought I didn't want to come to. So like I said, we can get into the relationship part of it. And that one may be a little longer because if you can imagine telling your parents they say you're not gonna be okay no more, explaining to a boyfriend that you don't understand, huh? You know what I mean? Explaining to your man that I'm on this pill that got me sleep. You can't even almost have a real relationship life if you can imagine all things going in a relationship, but you don't have energy to even make it down steps. Um, if you can imagine having to share with nieces and nephews that auntie might not be the same no more. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at this or that. Or explaining to sisters and stuff like that. Because aside from some of the other things that may have transpired from the sickness or whatever, you still have to deal. So regular things that make people regular sad may have me actually really depressed. So I have to work a little bit harder. You don't give out pity parties, and you don't allow people to take pity on you. However, sometimes I need a little help. I could be, now that I've come back into the business world more full fledged and I'm jumping out there, and I came up with this idea, follow me to $1 million. I thought I was going to do my story ever since like 2 years ago, but I'll tell you what, it's not been time yet. Uh, because now we can, I can be a little more forthcoming because I have more information. Like I said, now I'm not even on the same amount of pills and stuff like that. And that's a blessing for me because that was a goal I wanted. It has nothing to do with anybody else. I'm not a doctor. This is a disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling y'all what to take, what not to take. If something works for you, it works for you. But was my personal experience. And I just wanted to share it. So many people don't know. Like I said, I'll get into relationship statuses and later, maybe in another episode. But I even had an uncle of mine tell me, I think somebody drugged you. Yeah, the doctors. My doctors. Okay. And then there was a fear to take the medications because they would let you know, hey, we can get you, put away if you can't get it together. You'll never live alone again. You'll never sing again because I had different talents. You'll never speak in public again. So you're not going to work. You're not going to sing no more. You're not going to speak well no more. You're not going to be able to think well on your own or live alone again. I mean, they gave me a list and they told me I was never going to get better. So right now, I'm working on jumping out the boat with my business ideas. I just got offered a possible uh, offer to uh, be a part of a new store in Georgia that's being opened. And I was questioning about, can I provide enough candles to do such? And I still don't have an investor yet, but I got like two more ideas in mind, and those are salons that are in other states as well. So the business is trying to jump off. My health is better. I can exercise now. Like one time they would tell me exercise, there was no energy to exercise with. Or if I did go do something, my attention span would be so split. Like I just had too much to do. And sometimes I still have too much to do. Um, but it's been a journey and I'm not where I was. You see, I'm speaking to you. My face is still a little crooked. I still get tired sometimes if I talk too much and my jaw can hurt or my neck can hurt, that type of thing. Sometimes friends don't understand that either. They think you just don't want to talk or you being quiet or you being antisocial. But I've shared with you I had issues. We just never got to go into everything with some of the people. So like I said, that's on relationship parts of explaining the battle right now. I just thank God I'm not on 3 to 5 pills anymore just to manage my mental. But like I said, it's different for everybody. I do eat a little bit differently. I take a little bit different supplements. Like I said, I do get to exercise a little bit more. And I think God is blessing me. So if you listen to this part of my story, this was part 2